Where does Nazi Germany fit into this whole picture? Would you say that it's a historical aberration, an evil historical aberration, or in the framework of empires, a usual and a ordinary historical imperialistic country, or attempt at?
Well, we know there's nothing ordinary about the Third Reich. Um, But on the other hand, it is important to see that what Hitler wants to do in the 1930s is what other imperial powers have done, and indeed those are his models. He's often referring to American expansion across the continent. He's talking to Britain's rule in India and so on. He's talking about the way in which empire basically defines a nation. You're a strong nation if you have an empire. So in that sense, Hitler is very much in the framework of late 19th century imperialism. That's really where his mindset is. But it's a new radical imperialism, of course. It's designed to build a huge economic bloc dominated by Germany. It's designed to create a racial empire, which the Germans are not just the superior race, but they're eliminating other races, of course, principally the Jews, but also Slavs, Roma, and so on, to make this a kind of Germanic paradise, if you like. And in that sense, Hitler's imperialism is impatient, radical, and dangerous. It's within that imperial framework, but it's a different kind of empire.
So is the policy of genocide a new policy? Do we find genocide? I assume was coined after World War II in the history of empire building. Do we find this idea of eliminating a people or a race, or it's simply conquering, and then controlling a people and or race?
Well, I mean, most historians recognize that genocide was practiced in the whole process of empire building in the 18th and 19th century and so on. Whether it's Native Americans or whether it's the inhabitants of German Southwest Africa, there are plenty of places people or the reduction of the population, Aboriginal population of Australia, for example. And these are actually examples that Hitler often quoted to justify the ethnic cleansing of his empire. It had always happened. Empires did this. And it's true, empires did do that. But, I mean, the difference in the sense of the Jewish genocide, of course, is that it fitted into a rather different framework too. Not only was it necessary to eliminate the Jews, because this was a Germanic empire, he didn't want it full of Jews, but Hitler thought the Jews had been responsible for stifling German efforts to build an empire, first in the First World War, and then through declaring war in 1939, driving Roosevelt to war as he saw it, and so on. That there was a malign global conspiracy of the Jews to undermine Germany's claim to be an imperial power, its right to be an imperial power. That's why the genocide of the Jews became so thorough and widespread, of course. It wasn't just cleansing the empire, it was also a question of eliminating the enemy of German imperialism.
So the calculation that the Holocaust, the genocide, was taking away military resources and that could have been used to build an empire. It was part of what Hitler considered his empire building, so it was not mutually exclusive.
No, they were not mutually exclusive at all. I mean, the interesting thing is that the Germans tried to build their empire at the same time as trying to win the war, and it was extremely difficult, of course, to do both things. But yes, I mean, you're destroying the Jews, which were now seen also as a threat to the German army as it expanded. They were saboteurs and partisans, etc. But eliminating the Jews was something you found that Hitler felt you had to do at the same time as winning the war. Two wars in one, in other words, fought together. The war against the Jews, of course, a war that Hitler hoped that he could win, even while the war was going on. It was a turning point in 1942-43, I suppose, where it becomes clear that the Germany is not going to win the war. but Hitler has no doubt that destroying the Jews still remains a major objective of his war making and imperialism.